But the long wait is over. You've probably been sitting on pins and needles, wondering about that landscape project I mentioned, I alluded to. Yeah, I'm sure you remember that. Just anxiously waiting. Hey, it's good to see you again. I'm sorry it's been so long. So that weather in early June, nice cool weather, kind of tricked me. I was working on the north side, the hospice bed, and I thought, well, gosh, if Mother Nature's gonna give me some cool weather, well, then we'll just work. We'll continue to work. Then all of a sudden, the hot switch was turned on, and man, that's certainly not the best time to do your planting, as you'll see as we go through this. But we were able to get it done. I have been delayed because of the windy weather. Kind of hard to record outside when it's windy. And then when it wasn't, well, I was occupied. So I wanted to mirror what we did on the north side with that gentle curve in front of the rectory with the rock bed behind it. I wanted to mirror that on the south side and include the sign behind the rock, but it raised a question about how do you bring that rock to an end? I didn't want to put in grass because we had no sprinkler, and the weather patterns seem to be hotter and drier, and nice lawns require lots of water, and sprinkler systems, boy, they just seem to overspray. It's hard to get it perfect, and I get it onto the sidewalks. So I thought, how do you bring that rock to an end? I had thought of doing like ground cover along the sidewalk, but as I researched that, plants that were options didn't seem like good options. So I decided, let's just make it all rock and do plantings that would draw in the plants that we used over at the parking lot. So I kind of sketched the design on the ground with some paint, treated the grass and the weeds multiple times, cut out a little bit of sod, probably cut out a little bit too much in order to make a little gradation there. And you may recall that we had that fuel tank removed, which disrupted the grass over there by the south entrance. So I thought, well, now is the perfect time. If you're going to do something, you can do it there. So we decided to go ahead. We had water right there at the door, which would be helpful for our drip system. So we dug the holes on the south side of the church. Boy, we found that soil was so clayey. You just almost couldn't dig at all. Fortunately, one of the guys had an auger that we used. My only fear is that we just created clay pots for the plants, but we'll see how it works. Dug the holes, laid the ground cloth, planted and mulched just a little bit around the plants to keep in the moisture as best we could, and then laid the drip irrigation. The drip irrigation provides the opportunity to be very efficient with the water. We ran, I believe it was 1/2-inch tubing. It's kind of the main feeder, and then either poked holes directly into that feeder tube for little emitters. And we used 2-gallon emitters, 2-gallon per hour emitters. Or I used a 1/4-inch tube off of the 1/2-inch tube to get really close to a plant if I needed to. And then I also used some 1/4-inch tubing with emitters that were already built into it, integrated into it. Used it around some shrubs, just to kind of disperse the water a little bit, and those are only, I think, 1/2 gallon per hour emitters. And after we put down the drip irrigation, we put down the rock. And gotta say a big thank you to Kofelds and to a builder's choice. They donated all the rock here. I say thanks to Schellers for putting us in touch with their wholesale nursery. Scott's, they helped us with some landscape fabric. And of course, my helpers who helped me with the work. Couldn't have done it without them. Now, as I got into this, we had some plants already here. And boy, I just don't like to waste plants. Right? So there I was beginning to transplant. Not the ideal time to transplant, also not the ideal time again to plant, but you can see that tree. It's a velvet pillar crabapple. And it had more leaves than that when I got it here, but pretty hard to go on the ground when it's 100 degrees out. But I think it'll survive. All right. So, transplanting. Well, I had some rose bushes back over there towards the corner. So I brought them over here. And, well, one is looking pretty good. The other one, I'm pretty sure it's still alive, but it's got a ways to go. We're trying to baby it along. But then also I had quite a bit of liriope back over there. And so I thought, oh, that would look nice, maybe right here in front of the sign. So I transplanted all of that, and eventually these along here will get that same size. Unfortunately, I see that I also transplanted some Bermuda grass with it. Shame on me. In addition, there was some spirea here with kind of a pinkish flower to it that I moved around to the north bed. The north bed was really just full of weeds. It did have some hostas or some lily of the valley, I think is what it was called. So I transplanted that, but then pulled out the weeds, and I guess I'd also used that upper bed to transplant things from the church that we got for Easter or whatever that needed to get outside. So it was a mess. So the project just grew and grew and grew. So as soon as you pull out one plant and you got to find a place for it, well, you got to prepare the ground for it. So I was told by the guy at the nursery that these spirea are really hardy, and so you just trim them way back when you transplant them, and you can see that there's a little bit of growth happening there, so I think they're going to survive. And then I spaced out some of the liriope that was around here, and then we rocked it. Hopefully the spirea will grow up enough to cover this white section. Of course, we might paint it to make it blend in a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure this area here was a deck. Maybe somebody will correct me, but I know that that was a door. And it seems like there would be something to catch somebody's foot instead of the ground down there. So I bet at one point there was a porch, deck, something like that out here. But cleaned this bed up quite a bit. There were some other things in here that I transplanted over to the south side of the church at that entrance. All right, so here we are at the south side. You can see the liriope that I was telling you about. That was over there in that north bed. So I pulled that over here. It wasn't the plan that I had drawn up, but that's the way it goes, at least for me. Begin to put things in, and then you adjust your plan as you go. So over here we've got this Nepeta, which is Walker's Low, I think, and then you see that Veronica in the center. There's Russian sage there in the corner, and that'll get fairly large, like the ones over in the parking lot, which is, it's really amazing for perennials how much growth has happened. We planted those in October, and they've really shot up. And then these grasses are native grasses called Carl Forster. They're like the ones over in the parking lot and in front of the office as well. And then this was, I think it's a mating grass of some sort that, it was left over from somewhere. So it all came together, I think, pretty well. Give it a year or so of growth, and I think it'll look pretty nice. We'll see what's next, if there's anything that's next. Seems like there always needs to be a next, but it really turned out to be a nice, clean insulation. That's not quite the right word, but clean finished product, clean planting. It should be fairly easy to keep up, though it requires some effort. Give a shout out to our garden club, who started to work again here, coming down and pulling weeds and grass that are growing up. I mean, it just happens as part of it. You can do that and stay socially distanced. So maybe if you're available, maybe that's something you would like to do. Right now, they're just walking through once a week, and we have enough people that they go about once a month or so. All right, just a final word of encouragement. Parents, grandparents, involve your kids or grandkids in work outdoors. Helps to teach them responsibility, puts them in touch with creation, which puts them in touch with our Creator, and opens the door to the parables, so many parables that Christ taught us. Bless you all, and I will talk to you soon.